You've been accused of claiming that man-made chemicals in the environment are making children gay or transgender and causing feminization of boys and masculinization of girls. This has been shown even with Bill Maher, that he showed generation by generation by generation, we're getting gayer and gayer and gayer. Eventually, in the next 20 years, you and I may end up being gay the way we're going right now. In a June 2022 episode of your podcast, you stated, if you expose frogs to atrazine, male frogs, it changes their sex, and they can actually bear young. They can lay eggs. This is you saying this. Fertile eggs. And so the capacity for these chemicals that we are just raining down on our children right now to induce them these very profound sexual changes in them is something we need to be thinking about as a society. And even according to a report, particles can harm human body. Estimations of the total mass of ingested MP particles correspond to 50 plastic bags per year. This is all of us in here. 1 credit card per week, or median value of, other numbers we can look at here. But this is kind of, the other day, I have a bathroom in my office. Only 2 of us use this. It's me and Vinny. Somebody goes to the bathroom, they forget to flush it. You see something. The other day I go to the bathroom, I'm looking at, there's 6 credit cards in the bathroom. Vinny was, because he's got so much plastic in his body that, for us with the wrong chemicals that we have. Now Vinny's still straight, we're good with him. But when you say something like this, there's only one other guy that said this about frogs, and he had to pay a few $100 million fine. They're trying to get the money from him. I'm not going to go there, but how do you plan to combat the poisoning of Americans if elected president?
Well, first of all, let me clarify something. I never said that chemicals in our food or water are making people gay. I never said that. I never said that they're making people trans or giving them sexual dimorphism. Here's what I did say. First of all, I've spent 40 years working on endocrine disruptors, and it's non-controversial. An endocrine disruptor is a family of chemicals that has the impact on sexual development of humans and of animals. And there are many, including PBAs in plastic, and PCBs, which are a flame retardant, and many, many other chemicals that are known to have the impact of endocrine disruption. They disrupt in mammals and other animals normal sexual development. So that is non-controversial. Nobody disagrees with that. The study that I referred to, and any of you can look this up on your cell phones right now on Google, is a study in which a scientist, and I can't remember his last name, I know his first name is Tyler, but you can look it up and you can use his first name, but you don't even need to do that. You just put atrazine and sexual dimorphism or sexual changes in frogs, and that's going to come up on your Google. You're going to see a peer-reviewed published study. What he did is he took 27 frogs, males, he put them in an aquarium, and he exposed them to levels of atrazine that are below EPA exposure levels. So they're below the levels that we are receiving. 63% of the water supply is now contaminated with atrazine. And EPA allows that up to levels, up to a certain level before it tells you the local water district to stop people from drinking it. And that level that they allow is what Tyler exposed the frogs to. So there are 27 frogs. He exposed them to the chemicals, and they're all male. Of that, 90% of them became sterile. So they could not produce young. 10%, so I think 3 of the frogs turned female and were capable of producing fertile eggs. So their sex was literally changed by exposure to this chemical. Now, what I said is that there are anecdotal observational evidence that we are seeing higher numbers of individuals with sexual dimorphism than in previous generations. That is controversial, because there are people out there who will say, no, it's always been steady. But there's a lot of people, and there's some studies that show, no, it's actually increasing dramatically. So I'm not going to take a side one way or the other. But if it is increasing, shouldn't we look, first of all, shouldn't we do studies to see if it's increasing? That's what the federal government should be doing, but they won't do them. Second of all, shouldn't we be doing studies to see if the chemicals that we know impact frogs that way, whether they also impact humans that way? And there's easy ways to study that without deliberately exposing humans to those chemicals. So shouldn't we be doing those studies? Whether not just atrazine, but other endocrine disruptors that are now ubiquitous. Everybody in the Hudson Valley has General Electric's PCBs in their flesh and our organs. A lot of these chemicals are now, that are known endocrine disruptors, are ubiquitous now. And shouldn't we be determining whether they're having these other insidious effects on us? And that is all I said. Now, your question was, how am I going to end that? Here's how I'm going to end it. My first week in office, I'm going to go to Bethesda, where NIH is, and Bethesda, and the NIH will not let you study these questions right now. NIH has an annual budget of $42 billion. It distributes that money to 56,000 scientists in research centers, mainly in universities, all across North America and some in other countries as well, to study human health impacts. But what NIH, and when I was a kid, NIH was the gold standard research agency on Earth. In fact, if you went to other countries in Europe, Latin America, and Africa, they don't have a scientific agency. They, in fact, in their laws, they say, whatever FDA approves is approved in this country. Whatever NIH says, we're going to take their word for it, because they had impeccable integrity. Well, what's happened over the past 50 years is NIH has stopped doing that kind of science. And it's changed to do science that is corrupt, oftentimes, that is used to justify the mercantile or promote the mercantile ambitions of the industries that it regulates. But mainly, it has become an incubator for pharmaceutical products.